Good morning. I need to hear that again. Good morning. Good morning, ELA teachers. Good morning. Thank you. Administrators and staff. Welcome to our April 9th Professional Learning Day. My name is Carla Bland, and I'm very excited about today. I'm excited about what we're going to learn about ourselves as teachers and what we're going to learn about teaching our students. The theme of today really is knowing and growing our readers and writers. Today, we are going to learn about our task force that works together to come to a decision for our ELA curriculum. And we're going to work together with our colleagues in order to learn more about how to assess students better so that we can teach them better. So I chose this quote because I think it speaks to a lot of what we are feeling and a lot of what we are going through right now. Change, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. And we all know that change is hard, it is difficult, the journey is bumpy and often slow, but we also know that without no struggle, there is no progress, and without no progress, our story stays the same. So I want you to think about a student in your classroom who has improved a lot this year in reading and writing. I want you to get that student in your mind. Does everybody have a student? Raise your hand if you have a student. I don't see every hand raised. Raise your hand if you have a student who has improved, because I guarantee there is someone who has improved with you as their guide. What changes did you make to help that student improve? What adjustments instructionally did you make to help that student improve? What behaviors changed for you or the student? Chances are it was probably a coordinated effort. You and the student working together. And that really is the heart, to me, of literacy. So as we go through today and we talk about reading and writing, speaking and listening, and we listen to our fellow task force members and Dr. Means and Dr. Noland, I want you to think about that student and what you did to help them improve. Because that really is what it's about. And that's how the story changes. Today, we will learn about ourselves as responsive teachers. We will learn about how to transform our classrooms into ones that invite struggle and celebrate strengths. And we will learn mostly about how to transform our mindset. The way we think about students, the way we think about ourselves as teaching, the way we think about our schools and our community. Instead of saying, these kids can't read on grade level, we will ask, how can we help these students learn to read where they are? Instead of saying, my kids hate writing, we will reflect and ask, how can I create a classroom environment that invites readers, invites writers, and inspires writers? We can ask questions instead of making assumptions. And we can change the story. Change it from one of can't to can do. Change it from one of never to not yet. Change it from one of I don't think so to what if. We can change the story of our teaching and our students' learning to reflect possibility, perseverance, and hope. This past weekend, I watched The Shawshank Redemption with my children. How many of you have seen that movie? I've seen it probably 20 times. I love the movie. I love the messages in the movie. But one of the messages that comes loud and clear is that perseverance over time wins the day. And our students need a win. Just like they say in sports, our students need wins. They need to see themselves growing and changing and improving, just like we do as teachers. And that's why I'm so excited. I've been in this district for 9 years. And this year, the story feels like it's changing. The story is changing. And I'm really excited about that. I feel a commitment to ELA, to literacy, that I have never felt before in this district. Clap your hands if you believe me. Do something. I need to hear a little more than that. I feel like John is. He's a tennis player. And I've never been more thankful for a podium in all my life. I feel our story as reading and writing teachers changing to embrace the challenge that we have as educators of equity and growth for all students in Clark County School District. Today is a new chapter, a different chapter in our story, but it's only one of many to come. So in that spirit, I will introduce a person who needs no introduction, our superintendent, Dr. Means.
We have to move the podium so our friends at Whitehead and Alps can see it. Let's get us one second. Thanks. Oh my. Man, you've been at the gym. Dr. Gant's been at the gym recently, apparently. It's so impressive. Good form. Started at the knees, right? Good morning, everyone. I don't want to speak too long because you have much better speakers that will come before you in a few minutes. I do want to say hello to our friends at Whitehead and Alps Road. Thank you for joining us with the live streaming. Changing and looking at and examining your literacy program as a school district, in my opinion, is the most important thing we can do. It is the most important thing we can do. And when you consider that we're looking at this from a K-8 perspective, this is truly a groundbreaking moment. I want to start by thanking Carlin. Can we give Carlin another round of applause, please? We went into this knowing that we wanted to go into every single classroom and every single school to determine what's currently happening. And Carlin did that heavy lifting, and she collected all the data. I also want to thank our Executive Director of Elementary Education, Dr. Carletta Nolan. Can we give her a round of applause? Between the two of them, they went into every school, they talked to every principal. We've really truly dug in to find out what we're currently doing and what is possible. And what you're going to hear today is the results of very, very deep professional conversations that occurred with a task force that represents you. Let me be candid. The task force had very tense conversations. There were a lot of discussions that went back and forth, and there were times where people said, well, maybe we should just take a break. And people took a break and they walked around and they came back. The recommendation that's coming before you today represents teacher voice. It represents a voice of people saying we can be better. We want to be better. And this curriculum can get us to where we want to be. When the recommendation occurred, the entire task force kind of turned to me, and I made a promise. And I don't want to make this promise just in front of the task force. I will make it in front of the entire district. Because the recommendation that you're going to hear about a little later today is going to require us to stretch ourselves professionally. And when the recommendation came down from the task force, they all collectively turned around and said, will the district support us? Will this be another initiative where we jump into something and we don't get the type of support that we need? You have my word on record. You have my word that we're going to do everything possible, everything financially possible, everything from a human resources perspective possible to make sure that this initiative is just not another passing fad. But this is something that we're going to commit to, because this is not about adults having some product come in. This is truly about unlocking the future of our students and unlocking a new possibility. And so I've worked with Carlin, I've worked with Dr. Nolan, I will continue to work with our task force to make sure that your voice is heard in terms of the type of professional development that we provide. You have that word from the school district that we're going to support you. We're excited about this new curriculum because it's going to unlock not only a future, a bright future for our young people, but we believe it's going to unlock a new sense of possibility and excitement for you professionally as well. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Dr. Nolan here. I want to thank you for digging in and really investing in your professional learning today. Know that we are with you along this journey, but the journey's not about us ultimately. It's about our young people. It's about unlocking what I consider to be the gatekeeper skill that all students need to have, which is to read on grade level as soon as possible. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This indeed is a great day. Woo. I guess it replaces the sun that's not shining outside today. So I just would like to thank Dr. Means for his confidence in Carlin and I for to actually do this kind of work. As they both have said, I echo the sentiment that we had a great challenge before us in meeting the demands that we know that all of our children need in order to become better readers. And as I go on and talk about our why, you too will see that. But before we do that, I'd like to thank the task force members. And I'd ask each of them, I know they're all not in this room, but wherever you are, I would like for you to stand, because I think your peers need to see who you are, because you were the ones who actually did the heavy lifting in this. Carlin and I, we did the facilitating, but you were the ones that had the conversations. You were the ones that carried the conversations back to school and ultimately said, this is what we need. This is best for our students. And so if you would please stand when I call your name, I would greatly appreciate that. Janet Micheletti, Beth Upchurch, Marilyn Murphy, Sabrina Lumpkin, Matt Smith, Keisha Hurd, Justin Ribbich, Lindsay Chatham, Anne Cicero, Elisa Trotter, Makiba Clark, Alex Helvey, Amber Buffington, Tanisha Sanders, Chris Woodward, Catherine Brinson, Megan Watson, Wendy Greer, Donna Elder, Melissa Ellert, Ellen Sabatini, Allison Niswiski, and Pamela Lane. I thank each and every one of you. I know Dr. Means does, and so does Carlin. So we thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. And so as we begin, I'd like to tell you a little story. When Carlin and I began, we started off, we sat for hours, we worked through our presentation. We're like, okay, we're ready, let's go see Dr. Means. And so we were so excited, we sat down and we started talking and we were just looking at each other, smiling, and all he said was, what is your why? After we had finished, and we looked at each other and we're like, because in education, we have a tendency to jump to the what, and then we go immediately into the how. And we never really take time to examine the why. And so our why for doing this work, as Dr. Means said, well, what he didn't tell you was that people upon his arrival kept coming to him and said, hey man, you gotta do something about this ELA, you gotta do something about this ELA. And he really didn't understand what was wrong with the ELA. And that's when Carlin and I went out, and you all know we both had conversations in your schools. And we came back, and what we discovered was that we had a system that was fragmented and there were inequities in that. And so as a task force, we wanted to eliminate the fragmented, inequitable, and ineffective ELA program that we had in our buildings in order to prepare our students for so that they would be college and career ready. Inasmuch, there's a quote, and it should be on the screen. I want you to just take a moment to read that and really absorb it. And for those of you who are in another site, I'm not sure if you can really see it, so I will read it to you. This is the end of third grade and marks the critical time when children shift from learning to read to reading to learn. Children unable to make the shift face serious barriers for future learning because they can't grasp half of the printed fourth grade curriculum and beyond, including math and science. As a result, these children fall even further behind. Children who can't read proficiently by the end of third grade are more likely to experience poor health, have discipline problems, become teen parents, drop out of high school. As adults, they're more likely to spend time in prison, struggle with unemployment, and face shorter lifespans. Every time I read this, it brings about a flood of emotions because I began to think about the fact that while I don't have children of my own, I have nephews, I have neighbors, I have children who I attend church with, I have children in our schools. We are talking about a matter of life and death. And this is from research done right here in the state of Georgia just last spring. And so this is urgent. The work that we are ready to embark upon, this is urgent. This is why. This is our why. Ultimately, this is our why. And so every time you start to feel a little down, and you feel like I can't do this work, this is too much, I want you to think about this quote because it's a matter of life and death. See, we already have overcome because obviously we're here as educators, but we're talking about the children who sit in our classrooms. Did you know that only 32% of our third through fifth graders last year scored proficient on the milestones in grades 3 through 5? And in middle school, only 27%. And so that's if we count it off in this room, and we count it off by threes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Only the people who were the ones would be able to be for sure that they weren't going to end up like what it says on the screen. So I want you to think about that. We have a lot of work to do, but now you know our why. This is a matter of life and death. And with that, I want to let you just marinate on that for a little while. And Carlin's going to tell you the process that we went through to ensure that we turn this thing around for our kids, that we don't have to worry about whether our kids in Clark County are going to have a short life expectancy. She's going to tell you how we went through the process and what we're actually going to do about it. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Carletta. That was wonderful. And so as we, wow, it is bright. It does replace the sun that is not outside today. I'm going to talk you through just briefly about our task force process. So we're getting into the how. We know the why, and the why was prevalent throughout our process, which sort of kept us grounded as we met each time. We met 4 times, and we had a question, our essential question, which were really around the issues and concerns we had as a K-8 curriculum system. And we needed to identify the issues around that. So we used a situational analysis to clarify our issues around the issues and concerns and the criteria that we wanted for a comprehensive K-8 curriculum system. And we met, as I said, 4 times. And by the 4th time, by the 2nd time, I'm sorry, we had established what we call our 11 essentials. And these are criteria that we have researched, and we have the research behind it, to ensure that all of our students are college and career ready through the literacy practices that we instill in our schools. So these 11 essentials became our foundation. They became what we measured everything against. And these essentials that my colleagues are going to talk you through in just a minute, these are the backbone of our literacy program. It doesn't matter what we buy. It doesn't matter what box of stuff I hand to you as a teacher. These essentials remain, and these will form the foundation of our professional learning and how we go forward. So I want to introduce to you Wendy Greer. She is a teacher and instructional coach at Fowler Elementary, and she is going to talk you through, yeah, let's hear from Fowler. And I've just gotten to know Wendy. She's amazing. We're lucky to have her. And she's going to talk you through the first 6 essentials.
Thank you, Carlin. Again, my name is Wendy Greer, and I'm an instructional coach at Fowler Drive. Like Carlin, I was excited to know there would be a podium. However, I didn't anticipate it would be right in the spotlight. So I'm excited to be here with you today to talk you through 6 of the 11 essentials. I'm going to step down here for number 1. Visible learning progressions that include teaching with all 5 pillars of reading. And we know that includes phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. And this first essential set the foundation for the rest of the essentials. It also includes what is considered to be quality reading instruction. Number 2, choice with engaging text in a variety of authentic text. Some of these are self-explanatory. Number 3, using read aloud strategies and conducting discussions about reading every day. Number 4, teaching word solving and vocabulary in the context of reading, writing, and learning. 5, making sure students get time to practice reading books and their readiness level every day. We thought that was very important. And number 6, principles of effective writing instruction. And we know that writing and the writing process is dependent upon skills that are developed in the early years. And this essential was a factor for the ELA Task Force that we have K-8 to prepare our students for not only high school, but beyond. And it was a huge decision-making factor in adopting the Lucy Calkins units of writing. So thank you. I'm now going to introduce Elisa Trotter, who will walk you through the other 5 essentials.
Good morning. Can't see any of you, but I know you're out there. I'm Elisa Trotter, instructional coach at Alps Elementary, and I just want to say how excited I am to feel like a learner again. For so long, I've felt like a disseminator of information, if that makes sense to any of you, and I'm just really excited about the commitment that Dr. Means has made to invest in teachers and to come alongside us as we learn how to teach literacy in our schools. Thank you so much. It's like a breath of fresh air. You have no idea. Essential number 7 is integrating listening and speaking into reading and writing. So if reading and writing floats on a sea of language, then we are sinking, because we haven't had, as part of our curriculum, these essential pieces of speaking and listening. So I'm very excited about knowing that we are going to start actually teaching these standards again in conjunction with the reading and the writing. Essential number 8, visible progressions for student metacognition in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So the task force recognized the need to have a curriculum that supports teachers in actively teaching students to be aware of their own learning and to be able to take their knowledge of literacy, their expertise, and apply it to other places, to other content areas, other contexts. So that was definitely essential in choosing the curriculum. Number 9, visible progressions for teachers to monitor academic growth in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Number 10, using formative assessments to focus instruction in reading, writing, literacy, and speaking. This is about a cohesive, comprehensive way to assess students. Assessments that position teachers and students as decision makers, and students as decision makers. Number 11, access to learning goals, learning progressions for goal setting, progress monitoring. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Pam Lane, instructional coach at Timothy Elementary, and she's going to talk you through the process of how the ELA Task Force came to the decision of Heinemann.
Thank you, Elisa, and good morning to you all. I'm as well very happy to be here and to be a part of this very important work by our district. I have been a part of this district for 23 years. Prior to that, I taught 10 years in another state. So I've had several opportunities to serve on adoption committees. And I can tell you what sets this one apart, and it is those 11 essentials. The very open and honest conversations that we had to have about where we are, where our students were, where our instructions were such a big part of our work. Once those 11 essentials were in place, the research to find a program that fit a K-8 program began. There are lots and lots of wonderful programs out there, but we narrowed our search to 3 that would involve K through 8, which is unusual. Once we narrowed our field to 3, Vendors were contacted, materials were brought in, and individually, each task force member carefully reviewed each and every piece of each program, rating it against these 11 essentials, so that our focus was always the same for all 26 task members. As we scored each vendor, our points were calculated, and 2 clearly rose to the top of possibilities that might be a good fit for our district. We then had even deeper conversations about how well these programs met these 11 essentials. And after some hard conversations, some very honest conversations, and some areas where we had to kind of admit where we had some changes to make, it became clear that Fontes and Pinnell and Lucy Calkins writing units were going to meet the needs of not only our students, but meet the needs of our teachers. And although we knew the work will be hard, especially in the beginning, and it will be difficult, with the promise from Dr. Means, like he stated earlier, that he would provide all that we needed financially, with the professional development to support us, that we would make this selection as the best fit for our school district. And I can tell you today that that work begins 4 months, not 4 days, before the school year begins. And so I know for those of you who have been a part of this district for quite some time, that there is an unusual process. So we are excited about the work. We hope that you are too. As coaches and members of the task force, we want to support you in that work, and we're certainly here for you along the journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pam. And thank you, Elisa, Wendy, Dr. Nolan, and Dr. Means. This is my favorite slide of the whole presentation because this slide speaks to what's in it for all of us, for the students and the teachers. And you can see here, this work will make teaching ELA more rewarding for teachers and productive for students. And so it really is about our whole community. And again, going back to some of the things that we've talked about earlier, it will change the story, not just for us as professionals, but for our students and the rest of their lives and being proficient. So here is the rollout of the adoption, and it is a 2-year process. So when we met with Hyman and we discussed Clark County and the rollout timelines and possibilities, we decided that reading and writing at one time for grade levels would be a very, very big lift. So it is over 2 years, and you can see here in K2, next year we start with Fontes and Pinnell Classroom, and that includes all the protocols that we've been using already in Clark County: shared reading, guided reading, word work. All of those pieces that we already have a lot of experience with will be part of that classroom. K through 2 teachers will also receive benchmark assessment system training, and we will start some of that work this afternoon in your session. And you can see that 3 through 5, benchmark assessment system this year, and units of writing, Lucy Calkins. 6 through 8, benchmark assessment system, units of writing with Lucy Calkins, and classroom libraries for our students to foster independent reading, book clubs, and access to more texts. In year 2, we kind of flip it. K through 2 will receive the units of writing with Lucy Calkins and receive ongoing training and PL that's needed for the benchmark assessment system and the Fontes and Pinnell Classroom. 3 through 5 will receive the reading, Fontes and Pinnell Classroom reading, and then ongoing training and PL for Lucy Calkins writing. 6 through 8, units of reading with Lucy Calkins, continue the year of our adoption, the first year, year 1, and then ongoing training in units of writing. As I said before, where there is no struggle, there is no progress. This is a journey that we are on, and the good news is that we're not doing it alone. We have each other to work together, and that's the best news this entire year for me. We don't have to do it alone, we have each other. So this is my favorite part of the presentation, because we're going to hear from some students in our district about why reading and why writing is important. And I have a special prize for whoever can pick out the child who is my son. I'm sure you'll see him, you'll know who he is. So, Brian, or there you go. So these are from K-8 students.
Writing is very important in many ways, especially in your careers. Almost every career has some element of writing. If you can't write, you really can't expect yourself to get a good job and start a good career. Writing helps us all in many ways.
It's important to read and write because your brain will get smart.
In a world that really revolves around the internet, you probably communicate just as much through writing as talking. Being able to express your ideas through writing is vital to your life and your career. When you can write in a way that people can relate to, you have an almost infinite amount of power.
Reading and writing are important to me because it helped me become a better reader and writer now. In the future, it will help me fill out college and job applications.
Reading is the key to success. It can help you get many jobs such as college professor, scientist, and many others. Reading can also give you a better education from understanding questions more to also understand.
Reading helps me expand my vocabulary so that I can write better. Writing is important because it helps you express yourself in many ways.
Reading and writing are both very important to the brain because they help it develop faster and help it gain new knowledge and skills.
Reading and writing helps prepare you for the future.
Reading and writing help prepare you for the future because most jobs revolve around either reading or writing.
This is why reading and writing are very important for now and the future.
Why is it important to read and write? Because when you grow up and find a job and when you find a job and then you don't know nothing, you
Reading are important to me because they inspire me to learn more. It will help me for the future to communicate better with people.
Being able to read books opens doors to so many worlds. You can go on voyages with Vikings or even fight aliens in space all through a book. If you can't read, you can't access all of these worlds that are available to you.
important because it makes your brain more smarter.
People can express themselves.
It's important to read and write so that you can understand vocabulary and what you're reading. It's important to read and write just in case for future purposes, just in case.
I love reading because it takes you to a whole entire new world.
And when you're reading, it can make you smarter at reading. And when you're reading like a book that you really like, you might love that book so much that you want to write. And reading is really important because when you're reading a book like a National Geographic show, you can learn a lot of new things. And yeah.
I love to read because I feel like I can do whatever I want to do in my own fictional world. Once I find a good book, I just can't stop reading. I love reading. Reading is very important to our future. Reading is where you can fantasize and read books that can fill you with curiosity. I enjoy reading because it inspired me to write stories about life in firsthand
and/or second.
Reading and writing are important because we can learn new stuff from fiction books or something else. Right, Mr. Cat in the Hat? Drawings. And we can read fiction books like from The Cat in the Hat.
We can learn a lot of stuff and they can be good and they will know so much and they gonna be
So smart is what she said. Let's hear it for our students. Did everyone see or figure out which one was mine? He wasn't happy about that. But I wanted to thank, before we get to the agenda for today, I really wanted to thank Michelle Danahan over here for our tech. I really want to thank Brian Gray for being here. And I want to thank Dana Siegman for helping put that flipgrid together. And most of all, I want to thank Dr. Nolan for inspiring me. So here's today's agenda. I know that you have seen a form of this, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knows where we're going. After we break here, 3rd and 4th grade will go to Barnett Shoals Cafeteria. 5th and 6th grade teachers will go to Whit Davis Cafeteria. And 7th and 8th grade teachers will go to Hillsman Middle School Media Center. We will have our opening session at 9:40 to 11:30. We'll break for lunch. It'll be on your own from 11:30 to 12:30. And then from 12:30 to 3:45, we will have the next session, which will be about the benchmark assessment system that I just mentioned. Make sure that you work with your colleagues today. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Make sure that you fill out the evaluation at 3:45 so we can get feedback. And I just want to thank everybody today who presented so beautifully. Woo! Wendy Greer, Elisa Trotter, Pamela Lane. Dr. Means, I want to thank you for being here, for supporting us. I want to say thank you to all of you. If I haven't met you, I will meet you soon. And I look forward to our work together in the next chapter of our story. Thank you.